Oh, it is late. Well, you know we night owls anyway. Grace, let me see what I can do tonight and what we can work on. Who I can bless, help. Hey, y'all. Y'all up? Grace to all of you. Grace, if my voice sounds weird, it's just because I'm sleeping. I'm tired. I had a long day yesterday and a travel day today, so I'm just kind of getting settled in. Hey, Donnie, I love you. Really had hoped to see you. Hey, y'all. All right, as is my norm, I'm going to try my best to see as many of you as possible, but this is going to be a doozy. Something that's going to challenge you. What's up, everybody? Hey, Nay. What's going on? I see Prophet Elaine is on here. Trey, hey, stay on here for this one, Doc. Humbly. Dr. Joyce, God bless you. Go ahead, send out a Corey. This sabbatical I'm over it at this point, bruh. Sorry, I shouldn't put you on blast in front of the World Wide Web, but you understand. Shantae Ford, hey. Prophet Jazz, what's up? Wealth with Aaron, it's time for you to get to church. Hit me on the East Coast. Nee, remind me to ask you something later. What's up, everybody? I got some stuff for you tonight. Stuff that I know is going to help you, even if it makes you uncomfortable. We're at about 314. Thank you for all of you that have been praying and interceding for my strength, etc. Yesterday was a bit complicated. I had a travel day. I ministered at All Nations Shy yesterday, which was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was fiery. I walked in the door and I went from my truck to the throne room, it seemed like, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I loved every ounce of it, and I preached so hard until I forgot I had a flight to catch. I preached about the accuser, and the power of God started moving in that room, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get loose. And I jetted out, went to O'Hare, and then went to Memphis to be with Pastors Brandon and Christabel Clack at Reformation and ministered a word about Peter called I Heard What Happened. And I was talking about the sound in Peter's mouth being the culmination and the graduation of everything Jesus taught him through his catechism and his cohort. So it was a very interesting time. So I'm back and I'm on tonight to give you some things to consider before you go to bed. And I don't know why I like to do this to y'all before y'all sleep, but yeah, call your attorney, sue me. I love you guys. Thank you so very much. I'm going to get me some rest and I got a lot of work to do, but I want to talk to you about something. When you're ready, give me some thumbs up. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to tell you what I appreciate about this group. I've warned you that I'm going to make a lot of this content and a lot of this stuff a lot more exclusive. We're building out frameworks for some stuff that I've never done before. And I've warned you. And in that warning, a lot of you have taken initiative to start taking notes. And, you know, if you post notes of anything I teach and anything that I instruct you on, I'm always impressed with great notes. So sue me for it. But I love note takers. I think note takers are history makers. And so I love a good note taking church. So thank you all for those of you that take notes. All right, let's just go ahead and jump right in. I got a planning day tomorrow, man. So many events and things to get ready for. Easter is Super Bowl Sunday for us around All Nations. And so pray for me. I am deeply interested, deeply interested in sociology, psychology, anthropology, history. I'm a major lover of history and overall human behavior. I think it's gotten deeper the more mature I've gotten into things of God over my walk in relationship with the Lord. I am infatuated. Damon, I miss you so bad. It's ridiculous. I've developed I guess the appropriate word would be a hobby of investigating human behavior. It never ceases to amaze me what human beings are able to do, able to get away with, able to live under, able to recover from. It's interesting. So that's not my professional background, but I've had to take some classes and courses in it before. But it's never something that I devoted a large portion of my academic life to. But from a revelatory standpoint, from a study standpoint, I've always incorporated those perspectives in my approach to the scriptures, in my approach to understanding redemption, salvation, the gospel, etc. And here is one of my frustrations, my honest frustrations, and just journey with me. We're going to talk this through. I saw some people saying I'm their online therapist. I, in no means, desire to be that by any means. But here is one of my frustrations when I consider and ponder things having to do with life and human interaction and involvement. One of the things that frustrate me is that there is no specific number or limit or list to the gambit of human emotion. Let me explain what I mean. You know, when you think about emotions, right? And you think about how few people are even able to articulate a list of categories of different kinds of emotions, it really is never ending. And there are discussions in many communities about what qualifies as an emotion. You got anger, you got sadness, you got grief, you got worry, you got happiness, you got excitement. And I have concluded, this is my own hypothesis, that there is no limit to what an emotion can be or the amount of emotions a person can have. I think we're limited in our ability to tag them and to label them and to explain them or to give them some type of designation. But I've landed on the fact that emotions are as complex as the amount of people and the different range of people that there exist. So while we are afforded the opportunity, or while we do have some designations of emotional capstone or definition, I can say I'm sad, or I can say I am happy. There's no one list, and it's frustrating for me. I want to start it because in my thought, in order to manage something, I want to be able to have a classified list of what I'm dealing with and how to lead them, manage them, steward them, control them, however healthy or not that is. But the real truth is there is an endless amount of human experience that ends up being categorized as emotion and emotion. Here is my intelligent deduction. I think emotions in and of themselves is the expression of the soul's attempt to explain itself. I'll repeat it for your notes. I have been able to conclude in my own meditation of this subject that I'm about to talk to you about today that an emotion is simply the soul's attempt to express itself, to explain itself. The mind, the will, the emotion, and the intellect. It can be jarred. It can experience blunt trauma. It can be pierced. It can be lacerated. It can be resuscitated. It can be defibrillated. It can be incited. It can be awakened. It can be numbed. It can be medicated. So I've just been able to, for my own sanity, say, hey, an emotion is the glossary or the expression attempt of the soul. It's the way the soul expresses itself. So there is not one particular list on how to do it, all right? So that's the framework that I'm starting with that. I'm going to deal with you, and my numbers are going to go down because I'm telling you, on the onset that this is going to be an uncomfortable subject matter. One of the emotions that, hey, Joshua Tenio, I've not forgotten about you. I've just been in travel. One of the emotions that human beings experience. Now, here's one of the things I love about Jesus. Here's one of the things that I love about Jesus. And I've said this before on some of these lives and some of my teachings. He could not integrally and fairly and justly be called the King of Kings if he had not experienced every emotion that a human being could experience. He couldn't be my king if he did not know what it felt like to be depressed or anxious or sad or mad or worried or confused or perplexed or discombobulated. What wins him the right to be the King of Kings is that there's nothing that I feel that he did not feel first. The book of Hebrews says it this way: we don't have a high priest that is not touched, moved by the feelings of our infirmities. And so that's one of the reasons I love Jesus. I have thousands. But the one I want to deal with you about tonight is very unique. Hey, Dr. Jade, I hope you're in place, sugar. One of the emotions that I want to talk to you about tonight that a lot of people don't verbalize, because here's the other thing. There are emotions that many people, depending upon who they are and where they are in life, that are more comfortable to talk about. But then there are other emotions that we are uncomfortable with talking about. Certain emotions don't require the same depth of vulnerability and or transparency or nakedness. There are other emotions categorically that you have to pull from under deeper places in your life and deeper places in your experience that may lend itself to certain emotional dangers in you. Nolan, what's up, man? I want to talk to you tonight just a bit about regret. I'm gonna wait for my numbers to go down. Regret. If you think about regret and what regret is, very few people would classify it as an emotion. I don't know how else to categorize it. But I think that regret belongs in the same family as sadness, grief, anxiety. Somehow or another, regret belongs in there. Okay, guys? Hey, I believe in you. You can endure this. Now, I have developed some thoughts about this because one of the things, whether we get along or not, whether we are the same gender or not, whether we've lived the same story or not, whether we're the same race and or ethnicity or not, you know what's amazing is even if we're not in the same academic financial class or not, everybody shares a common thread of regret. Now, let me give you some basic things to think about with what regret is. Regret is, well, I'll give you three of them if you're writing this down. Regret has to do with what you wished had not happened, what you wished had not occurred, or what you wished you would have done differently if given the opportunity before. So when someone is dealing with regret, or when somebody experiences regret, you're going to deal with, number one, a mismanaged memory. Come on, guys, you can endure this. A mismanaged memory. Because regret never has anything to do with your future. I'll get back there. Regret always has to do with a mismanaged memory, or a memory that has not found its place, or a memory that has not found its way into resolve or perspective. It's a rogue memory, a memory that just does what it wants to do in your heart. The other unique thing that I've been able to conclude about regret is it's always self-inflicted. It's always self-inflicted. Even if you say, I regret loving you, or I regret doing this for you, what you're really saying is you regret how you committed to, involved yourself with, allowed, participated in, invested yourself in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So even if the target and even if the subject matter is external, the punitive action is internal. I'll repeat that. Even if the subject matter is external, the picture, the portrait, the topic is external, the punitive action, the pain point is going to be internal. It's a self-infliction. It's a self-wound. Regret is a self-wound. It is also an uncontrolled thought traffic, because the way regret works, which is different from a lot of other emotions, is regret can grow, right? And regret can find its strength in being able to find similarities from one experience to another. So if you experience something in one season of life with one person and you move on, you get older, or the years pass, or something happens, and then you experience a new thing that reminds you of an old thing, the common thread of it is regret. I regretted this, and now this happens, and I regret it now. And I'm gonna tell you the consequence is a reduced view of your worth and your value, who you are, what you should be. I'm going to say something to you that I want you to emboss in your memory as you're considering this in your own life. And I'm going to give you some more wisdom about it. But there is no way for you to have regret and not be sentenced to the past. Regret is a prison sentence to the past. I'm going to say that 3 more times for those of you that will not catch this and probably won't watch the replay either. Regret is an automatic, non-debatable, inevitable prison sentence to the past. As long as I have regrets, I give my past consistent access to who I am, what I'm becoming, and where I'm going. Because regret is the constant reminder of what I had wished could be different. God Almighty. So then regret is only punitive to the person that hosts it. You see, a person that is external, that exists outside of me, cannot be punished by my regrets. My regrets only impact me. Now, they may determine or decide how I show up, how available I am, how attentive I am, how risky or sacrificial I'm willing to be. But ultimately, who's suffering from regret is me, the host, the person that lives in it. Now, here is why this is extraordinarily important, or something that you should consider. There is absolutely, this is simple science, but it's something that when we're dealing with emotional evaluation or mental evaluation that we never really consider. The only proof we have from yesterday is pictures and memories. And memories are a form of pictures. We're never going to see yesterday again. That's really simple. My 9-year-old could understand that and conceptualize that. But when you conceptualize that at a much deeper level, I wonder how many people would be a lot more free, or a lot more responsible, or a lot more at peace if they just resolved that yesterday was a gift to me, and whatever happened in it happened, whatever did not happen in it did not happen, but I can't see it again. I'll never see it again. But regret is one of the ways that yesterday gets to continually linger in where you are today and potentially where you're going to go tomorrow. So regret is like the rights, it's the authority, it's the strength, it's the pressure of a day, an event, an action that has come and gone, but that has an odd way of extending its lifespan and or its impact or influence, sometimes on a day that has not happened. Let's simplify this for your thought, because I know I think in alliteration and in very broad or complex terms. What sense does it make for you emotionally for you to allow a day that you will never see again to impact a day that you've never seen before? I will repeat it. What sense does it make for self-care and self-help and self-management to allow what happened during a day you won't ever see again, to allow that power to impact a day you've never seen before? Where does that leave you? I'm glad you asked. It leaves you with a very crippled confidence. And if we're going to take it in spiritual matter, a very, very, very weak level of faith. I don't know a person that lives in, with, and around or from their regrets that's full of faith. Never met them in my life. Do the research yourself. Do a social experiment. Ask questions. People that are full of regrets have very little faith. And people that are full of regrets don't have the confidence level that they should have. Their esteem is weak and easily shattered, easily broken. Ultimately, what I just tried to teach you was, in regret, the emotion of regret, the experience of regret, which is, again, a rogue memory, a mismanaged memory. It is your attachment to the past. The ultimate assault, in my opinion, is your future. Because think about the people around you in your immediate circle, in your immediate relationship life, or the people you talk to day to day. If they live in their regrets, it's going to come out in their conversation. It's going to come out in their reaction. It's going to come out in their inability to be resilient and or bounce back. Because people who live in regret have very little resilience faculties. They don't know how to bounce back from that particular way. So I don't know that a person can live out their full potential honestly and earnestly if they don't have a plan to deal with what happened that they wished had not happened. Regret. I regret investing this. I regret being this. I regret that this happened. I just regret it. Now, regret, watch me. Can you handle more? If regret is the mama, resentment is the child. I've been pastoring for about 20 years now, preaching for 23. I've never seen somebody full of resentment that didn't end up physically ill. I have never seen somebody full of resentment that didn't end up mentally ill. That infirmity is going to either show up in your body or in your mind. So here is the trajectory of it. Here is the pathology of it. If you don't find a way to healthily confront the past and refuse or limit the past's access to your current evolution and your current maturity and your current growth, and break its rights into who you want to be, where you're trying to go in the future, that regret, like many other human emotions, won't remain as it is, because emotions can evolve and change and become different things. It may start as one thing and grow into another thing, all right? So, for example, let me give you an example. It may start as a depression and grow into an anger or grow into a rage. And to the onlooker or the external person or the person trying to love and support and be there, they're so distracted and impacted by the anger that they don't see the depression. But one of the manifestations of depression is anger, is rage, all right? Regret is the same way. When you can't get over rehearsing, remembering, reliving what happened yesterday, and you live in punitive posture inwardly about what happened yesterday, and you consistently use it as the measurement or the rubric by which you should decide or determine what you're supposed to do today or tomorrow, then what ends up happening is that regret goes into resentment. And it starts to sound like this mentally. I wish I could have, or it's because of you that I did not. Now watch me. The blame may go in different directions, but the punishment goes inward. You may say, I didn't go to school because of you, or I'd have been better off if I had not married you, or I held myself back because I was trying to do this, or you didn't teach me that and that. So the blame may go in a lot of different places, but the punishment and the penalty will always be inward. I hope I'm making sense to you. So it doesn't matter who gets the tag or who gets the label or who gets the blame. The real punishment is going to be inward, and the real penalty is going to be experienced inwardly. But the challenge is it's going to become resentment. And it is very, 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 very challenging to become intimate anything with somebody that's full of resentment. So because I'm a believer and I'm not a mental health expert, I'm a scholar, so I know how to study and gather information. I've landed, like many other things that I don't understand about life, in one area. You've got to find a way to make your regrets an offering. Some form of worship. Counseling, yes. Therapy, yes. Venting, yes. But I wouldn't serve a God who I couldn't give my past to. I wouldn't worship a God who is only deserving of my current knowledge and my current experience and my current feeling. No, if he's going to be my God, I've got to give him where I was, what I used to be. That's the whole concept of salvation, if you deduce it to that. But we think about that in terms of the saving of the soul from sin, but not necessarily of the reparation of the soul from pain. It's the same. I don't know what else to tell you. Find a way to give God the thing that happened that you can't change. The historic line of events that may have sculpted you or may have pivoted you or trained you to think, respond, hear, listen in certain ways. This is going to be unique. I taught you about how regret is an automatic assault to your future because it's going to affect your attempts, your tries, your effort, your energy, your hope, your confidence, your courage. All of that will be impacted by an unchecked regret. This is my experience. Test it in your own friends, family, loved ones. I've noticed something about people that are either manipulative. Now, let me just clarify this. I don't think everybody is manipulative maliciously. Now, I know that sounds conflictual, but I think that there are certain people that only know manipulation as the safest way to communicate a legitimate need. They mean no harm. They just don't know how to communicate what they need without coercion. That's going to take a real mature thinker to think through what I just said. Now, there are some people that are manipulative for the sake of control and for the sake of force. But there are other people who just don't know how to get a legitimate need met. Watch this. Without forcing people to read their minds. And I found that a lot of people that live their lives in regret become people, watch, that can only communicate through telepathy. They become the type of people who emit signals, body language, behaviors, all that exclude words and conversations, and measure you and test you without you knowing it to see if you really love and care about them And they want you to fail so that they can prove that you never loved them to begin with. I don't know why, but they do that so that they are justified in their arrested development or in their lack of emotional health and or growth. So they want you to read their minds. They emotionally penalize you, relationally penalize you for things that they did not want to put words to, become vulnerable about, or accountable to. And I found that a lot of those people in my space, at least, they all have regrets. And because of that, their safety mechanism or their seatbelt is, I am going to privately and quietly test everybody around me to prove that maybe they don't love me at all, or I'm going to privately and silently test everybody around me by taking tally of their mistakes, errors, flaws, or attempts and how imperfect they are toward me, to understand me, to love me, to know me. And then on the moment of conflict, I'm going to explode all of this stuff in one setting and in one sitting. And I'm going to be right. But you're going to be right and alone. And right and by yourself. And right and still isolated and alienated. And you're going to die a very lonely person when all you have to do is find a way to manage these emotions and lead them and not be led by them, and use your words to express your need, your fear, your vulnerability, or your desire. So in summation, we all have regrets, all of us. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have been that. I shouldn't have allowed that. Some of us have regrets, like I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have invested that. I shouldn't have went there. We all have regrets. But here is the mechanism that we need to perfect and master if we're going to find longevity in our own life, and most importantly, in our own joy. Because if we reduce this to the lowest common denominator, you show me one person that is full of joy and regret at the same time. Control them. It's self-infliction, mismanaged memories, uncontrolled thought traffic, and its ultimate goal is to assault or restrict your future and make sure that your faith and your confidence does not grow. It is an inward penalty and self-infliction at best. So my challenge to you, at least until tomorrow when I find something else to talk about, is to be honest with yourself about your regrets and make them an offering. I know you're like, well, you always saying make it an offering because I don't know where else to go. I mean, and I got several therapists and psychiatrists, and I believe in all that stuff. That at some point when when life reaches limits or peaks or caps, I think that you've got to find a way to make it an offering. Make it a lamb, a pigeon, some incense, burn it up. Jokes aside, find your way to convert that emotion into something new to give to God. And if worship ain't nothing, it's an opportunity to find different ways to give different things to God consistently all the time, without reason, justification, or anything else. That's why I worship the way I do. I never want to run out of ways or reasons to transfer things and to make them offerings to God. It's my security and my life insurance. Right? So what are your regrets? What are some things you regret? Do you regret being a teenage parent? Do you regret not going to school when you should have? Do you regret, and there are things that are understandable: rape, molestation, abuse, domestic violence, drug addiction, verbal abuse, abuse of any sort and kind. We all have them regrets. But what you gonna do? Live in them, live with them. Imagine an undealt with regret, like trying to walk, work, build, all in handcuffs. Because that's what it is. A regret is a mental and an emotional and a spiritual handcuff. You are no good to nobody not even yourself, in regret. Be honest about it. Don't beat yourself up about it. But don't let yesterday control tomorrow. And if you live in regret, that's really what you're doing. Okay, well, I hope that I was able to give you some key things to think about and some key things to consider and some key things to, hey, worst case scenario, I gave you something else to talk to God about. So those of you that are like, I don't know what to pray about, bruh, just pay attention to stuff I tell you on the day-to-day. And I'll give you some conversation points between you and heaven that'll keep your devotional life hot and steady if you're paying attention and being diligent. All right, well, I'm going to go get me some rest now. Grace to all of you. I'll find something to talk to y'all about tomorrow, but be mature, be responsible, be sober, be vigilant, and manage that soul, especially if you have gifts and you are talented and you find yourself breaking barriers very often in your life and in your decisions. Consider your regrets because if you don't, it's going to be the cancer that impacts your tomorrow. All right, grace to you. Get some rest. Peace.